We made it. We made it. We made it to live YouTube verse. Folks, I know Oz isn't here. We're hoping he pops in, and I hope everything's okay. Haven't yet heard from him yet, but I'm sure. Well, I just hope everything's all right. But Adam, Sean, and I, we're here and excited to talk about this stuff. How are you guys doing?
Good, you?
Doing
No, I'm
pretty
sorry.
Yeah. And we missed Bobby.
You needed to happen.
Somebody's
Bobby
gotta
actually
do that.
was, yeah, Bobby was actually tempted to pop in for tonight's show, but he is currently traveling. So,
Okay.
so he wasn't able to pop in. But, folks, you have us, and I will do my best to navigate the technology. Oz is always the guy who's able to quickly go through the people who have made comments in the chat, and I'll try and do it. I'm just going to do it my style. I'm going to do it slow and easy.
Easily Sunday morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Thursday evening.
I've been really excited about this subject matter, and backstage, the three of us were talking about it, and we were talking about the forthcoming rising toy prices because of certain things that are happening for us right now, and we were like, maybe we should do a frenzy about that. But I also feel like maybe that should be that's going to be difficult to talk about. But it's on my mind right now because I just got an email from the folks over at Super 7 saying that they are raising their prices by 8% due to the tariffs, and that kind of stinks. I'm a little worried about the independent toy companies, and I'm worried about the companies we love that distribute toys like Hella Dope and Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth, and definitely thinking about Four Horsemen, and definitely thinking about Matt Rodriguez of Defenders of Eden and Armies of Ashmore, and there's so many other people making amazing art and out of plastic, and I feel for them. Oh my gosh, let's got to do this. Sean, oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. These figures are huge and amazing. I'm still waiting on mine.
Kuzo and Rydor.
Yeah.
These are the only two I still have yet to open, which is really stupid, but that's just how my life has been.
Yeah, that's all right.
But I have some to open later then, I guess, which is nice. But yeah, like, agreed. I mean, I'm sure if he could have predicted when all this craziness was going to happen, maybe I should do a Kickstarter a year before the year that I do.
Yeah.
So, it's like, but I honestly, in that case, I hope that people see what is out there and they go, you know what, to me, it's worth the price, whether there's a tariff involved or not, because they really are beautiful figures. So
it really is just a matter of deciding on where to put your money and what you can support. And I know it's going to be tough for some that like to distribute their toy collecting over a large chunk of toy making real estate. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough, but yeah, I mean, I guess maybe we can stop with this. Invest in the companies that are close to your heart. Help them stay afloat during this time if you can, folks.
Especially the smaller companies.
Support the smaller companies. And Mattel and Hasbro, I don't know what they're going through. I haven't really been watching the news very much, but it's going to be an interesting time moving forward for those of us who collect plastic. Mm-hmm. The controversial stance that I think could be taken is buy vintage, but I like that there are so many independent toy makers that really need support. So think about that, folks.
Yeah, true.
I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and I went ahead and did it. I'm kicking myself now.
Wow. I mean, it's something that should be addressed at this point. Like, I mean, there is that big question mark. You have a pre-order that you paid for last year,
Yeah.
and the toys haven't arrived yet. So what are the chances of you having an extra bill if there is tacked on taxes and tariffs and things like that? And, you know, like I know in the case of Big Bad Toy Store, they sent out that email about a week or two back where they just said, you know, we're going to give you the information of here's what the price is with the tariff tax on it. And if you pre-ordered it and that doesn't agree with what you want to do, you're welcome to cancel, which I thought that was really good because that is at least fair, because some of this stuff nobody saw coming until, you know, the last 100 days practically. So
yeah, it's transparent, and that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching some of the, you know, I've been watching my pre-orders. I've, you know, pre-ordered Sweetums from Diamond Select. Speaking of Muppets and Sesame Street, Sweetums from the Muppet Show is one of my favorites. Pre-ordered that big boy, and the price hasn't changed as of yet. So I feel like with pre-orders and stuff, I think companies going to try and stick to the pricing.
Yeah,
I
know. Yeah, well, I know for Zeta Girls, they're not raising a price. The pre like Sean and I pre-ordered Conan. That's not going up.
Good.
I have no idea about Mondo though. They've been quiet, so I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. I mean, those are beautiful pieces, and people are, you know, we know some people in our community that are just, when it comes to masters, they're just collecting that because it's expensive, and they are art pieces that are articulated and posable. I mean, it's an extraordinary feat for Mondo to be making those. So maybe we'll hear from them soon. I think they're under the umbrella of Funko now, so maybe they're all in talks about what to do.
Well, that's like the 2000X line. That's why I think that things revised from what they said a year ago initially, because we talked about it recently on the last episode, if I remember right. But originally it was supposed to be 3 figures, 2 waves a year. And then when they showed off what they showed off recently, that it was 2 figures that they were putting together instead. So it was He-Man and Clawful, Skeletor, Man at Arms. It's like, I don't mind that they do that. And if it ends up being close to a 3-figure cost, but you're getting all the bells and whistles they're throwing in there, I was okay with that for the most part. So hopefully, you know, any tariff issues and, you know, additions aren't going to make those unaffordable. But I'll be honest, that is probably the one thing I'm just going to stick with, and everything else will be on a what grabs my attention basis more than anything with my, you know, the like heart of what I'm trying to do, at least with the collection now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think I was listening to Eamon. He's got the Hot Toys cast. He's the designer for Zeta Girls. He said they're okay because they've got so much more than action figures. Like they've got, you know, art prints and T-shirts and all kinds of other stuff. So they're pretty diversified. So companies like that, I think, are probably in a little bit better situation than if you're just doing figures.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how things play out, and it'll be interesting how people adjust, the toy makers and also the toy collectors. Kind of interested to see where this goes. And keep your chins up. Keep your chins up, folks. Don't let it get you down if you can. Try to stay positive. All right, let's say hello to the chat, and then we get to jump into our Sesame Street territory. We get to head on down to Sesame Street and talk a little bit about that stuff and try to weave in some Masters of the Universe, because that's just our style. And I think Adam and I have done some pretty good work, I think, in that regard. So, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. And as Sean says on his right underneath his name here, more Bert than Ernie. All right, Ray Black, great to see you. Great to see you. And Ray Black follows that up with quit talking backstage and just go live already. Yes, we were quite late. Well, we were like 15 minutes late today. So sorry about that, folks. And Duchess is here saying hello, everyone. Good to see you, Duchess. Aaron Davies is here. How's it going, Aaron? Good to see you. We'll be talking about something you sent my way in a little bit. And Nolan is here. As Oz says, it's not a toy live stream without Nolan here. So Nolan, good to see you here. And then when folks pop in, we'll say hello to the folks that pop in. But Sesame Street has been on my mind in very intense ways over the last 6 to 9 months, maybe even longer. And I feel like it's not just on my mind, it's been on a lot of people's minds. It's definitely showing up in stores. You know, when I walked into that Target and I saw the reaction figures for the first time, the figures I'd already pre-ordered because I was scared I wouldn't see them in Target. That was an amazing feeling. The NECA figures are just absolutely extraordinary. And it's, I mean, who would have thunk it that we would have got Palisade style Sesame Street figures, what, 23 years later? Just amazing. We're going to be talking about Palisades a little bit. And NECA doing this and honoring the original Palisade scale. I mean, there's some differences. There's, you know, Kermit. I do believe that Kermit was a smaller Muppet, of course, because he was the size of the hand, Jim Henson's hand. Mm-hmm. But this is a little bit, you know, you look at this size comparison, it is quite different. But it's close. I mean, it's very, very close. And, you know, we can't really, as toy collectors, we can't really complain about size comparison because they've got the reaction. Big Bird and the Count, and Big Bird should be like this much taller, right? Mm-hmm. This much taller. I was kind of hoping that reaction figure Big Bird would be like this big. Same thing with Snuffleupagus. But yeah, there's just it's part of the pulse right now, which is great. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, and actually, Adam, I know Sean and I have talked a lot about Sesame Street, even on the side too. Like Sean and I will message each other, "Oh my God, this! Oh my God, this!" and it's been a lot of fun. But Adam, what's your relationship to Sesame Street? I know we usually just talk Masters because that is your area of expertise. But how do you feel about Sesame Street?
Yeah, no, I love Sesame Street. I think like all you guys, I watched it as a kid. It was on all the time. Watched Sesame Street. Watched the Muppets, which, you know, kind of cousin or brother to Sesame Street. I was showing off this is the one Sesame, well, you know, the one Sesame Street thing that I own, which I bought as an adult, which is this book that I loved as a kid. I used to read it over and over. Just the revelation that, spoiler alert, you know, 40 years later, but Grover is the monster at the end of the book, but it's so fun.
And if you're careful about how you look at the cover itself is a spoiler for the book.
Yes.
Love this book.
Yes, it is.
Now, is that the vintage version, or did you get the
it's newer... the vintage.
All right.
Yeah, vintage little golden book. This is right. I think right as I was getting back into He-Man, it was basically just like I would grab a few other things I liked as a kid, and this was just one of those. Like, I have to have this. And I read it to my son when he was little too.
Oh, good. That's good. I was going to ask that. I love that book. Sean, did you have that book too?
I think I did. I know there was a book about Grover going to school for the first time that my mom used to read to me. Because the one thing in it that I remember is he wanted peanut butter sandwiches, but he didn't want jelly. And as a kid, it blew my mind to go, why would you just have peanut butter sandwiches? Like your mouth would get all like gooey from the peanut butter and it's going to get stuck to the roof of your mouth. And as a kid, that's why I said I'm more Bert than Ernie. Even then I had that kind of like pragmaticness about me. Like I would never have that unless I had some sweet stuff in it too. Like grape strawberry jelly. Geez, you know. But yeah, I mean, I was one of those kids that, you know, like I was raised on Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Reading Rainbow, all that. And, you know, like when I was a kid, we had Fisher Price doing action figures for Muppets. And they were literally like you could do stage plays with them because they had the little peg that you could pop into the back. And they were like white sticks that you could have them on. And you could just, you remember those? Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was obsessed with those.
So was I. Yeah.
And I think I got one. I ended up getting one, and I think it was Kermit. Kermit had his legs were on a joint, so they could only move forward or backward together.
Yeah.
And then the little hole in the back where you put the little puppet peg. Oh my gosh, those toys were amazing. There were, you know, and there were so many of them. Animal, Miss Piggy, Gonzo.
Yeah. Gonzo was the one that was the most articulated. You could move his head side to side. You could move his arms up and down, and his legs individually would move too. But like Fozzie was the same as Kermit, where his legs would only kick up and down. Miss Piggy was literally, here's a piece of rubber that looked like Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
And Animal, you could swivel his arms up to make it look like he was drumming, but that was about the extent of him. I love them because it was the closest to anything you got Muppet related that it wasn't like this huge thing to carry around.
Yes.
Like I had the Animal Muppet, like the literal puppet as a kid. We've talked about that on the Frenzy years back.
If for Muppet collectors, it's a grail piece.
Yeah.
That Muppet animal puppet by Fisher Price you could move the mouth up and down and open and close it, and it was particularly unique because it was the teeth and the inside of the mouth were plastic, so it just felt like a real Muppet, and his eyes could open and close. I felt like a real putteteer with that toy.
Exactly.
I carried that thing around with me everywhere, I'm with you on that, Sean. Just amazing. Oh, and there was the Oscar the Grouch puppet too. I think that was also Fisher Price. I could be wrong with that one, but that a friend of mine had that one, and just like it was seared into my brain.
Sure,
so good.
But like the funny thing to me was, at least growing up, I remember there was more merchandise for the Muppet Show in that way compared to Sesame Street. And Sesame Street was one, like, if you give me the choice between the Muppet Show or Sesame Street, I'd probably go Muppet Show every time because they were so wacky and the humor was on point a lot there. But to like that, you come home to it feeling, and that like you're a kid again watching it. When you see, that's what got me about like the Count, Bert, and Ernie, seeing those figures. I'm like, never have I ever gotten to hold a figure of these characters that I've always absolutely loved from Sesame Street. And it's like,
hey, I got to sneak in here. Ha ha ha. I just hacked you guys.
How's it going?
Do you want to see how me and my grandmother do after like
Stink Fardendale?
Wow. Fantastic.
Holy. I don't know how to follow that one up. But anyway, it was really, really amazing. You know, like 40 years later that you got these.
Now is when I wish Oz was here so I could figure out how to. All right.
Oh, I couldn't keep it up. There was something.
I'm so glad you're here, Bobby. Good to see you.
That was my whole intention. That's why I told you I was out of town and all this other shit. I wanted to see if I get you guys all upset.
We were also sad. We actually had you don't know this, Bobby, but Adam and Oz and I got together and did a little Zoom session. We just cried about you for about a half an hour.
Wow, man, you didn't have to cry about me. You really seriously you cried?
Real tears. Get tears.
Out of here. You're full of crap.
No, I'm just glad you're here.
Thanks.
Yeah. So anyways, Stink Fartendale. How do you feel about Sesame Street? Wait, we got to let Sean finish because he was on a roll.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
That was hilarious.
I mean that basically it is like having a Bert figure on my desk all the time now, and his boring stories book that he's so excited about. And I mean, you already showed him off, but I think he's my favorite out of the three right now.
Yeah, the Count.
Yes. I mean, dear God, these are just magical to have on the desk for me. I look at them all the time, and it's like, no matter how bad the world gets, you just get this, like, you look at some of these things and you're like, that's my second or third win of the day because they just make me happy, and that's kind of what it's all about some days. So
yeah, I mean, one of the oldest, and I mean this in a sincere way. I mean, I own a lot of old toys, but one of the oldest toys in my collection that I've actually been able to keep around. So having bought a toy or having received a toy as a gift as an adult and actually kept it around. And I have very few toys from my actual childhood. But a very good friend of mine, Quinn, got me the Palisades beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew. When they came out, there was the set with the little rabbit and things.
Mm-hmm.
The set, I don't know, I must have given it away or something. I don't even know what happened to it, or it's in storage somewhere, but I can't seem to find it. But Dr. Bunsen Honeydew broke, which was so sad to me. But I've had this guy since 2000 or 1999 or whenever he came out, and he's just a treasured. Muppets are just amazing. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Can I just? I'm gonna, as Oz would say, embiggen you.
Statler, and then Waldorf.
Oh man!
And what got me when I got these was it was a Christmas present. My parents bought them for me because they knew how much. Like when I was a kid, my mom made like a plushy version of both of them because they were the ones that you never got any merchandise for. Everybody loved how they give all the Muppets crap from the balcony, but you couldn't buy them anywhere. The only thing close to that was there was a color forms or whatever that they might or Shrinky Dinks. They had a Shrinky Dink set of the stage, and they were in there, and they were like my most loved things because that was the only version I had. And this one Christmas, I went back home and I opened those up, and I looked at my parents like, you guys got me Statler and Waldorf because my mom made them. And I, as a kid, she painted their faces on instead of like making the faces 3D. And I loved them so much that she didn't even paint the suits on them. I didn't give her time. The minute the faces were done, I grabbed them and I'm like, they're mine. So all these people would see me walking around with them, and there'd be these naked old men under my arms while I'm walking around, but they represented my favorite characters. And a lot of people be like, why are they not wearing clothes? And my mom's like, you never let me take them away from them long enough to paint the rest of them. That's why. But that was the closest. And then my mom did that for me. And I'm like, well, that is what I'd rather have had as a kid, no matter what. So it was really awesome that Palisades did that.
I love it. Yeah, I never got the Palisades, Statler, and Waldorf, and this is one of the things where when Sean and I first bonded over Muppets, was when I picked up the Diamond Select Statler and Waldorf figures,
Yep.
and we were like, and he was like, "Those are the dudes," and I was like, "They are the dudes." And yeah,
Still have it.
you kept it still in the package. I love that set. I mean, that little stage that they have.
I might open this one
Just
eventually.
like the Muppet Show.
Yeah, I might open that eventually, but the Palisades ones, they're going to stay in that because it meant so much to me that they even thought of getting those for me when I was like in my 20s, and there they were for Christmas. I'm like, that's almost like Castle Grayskull when you're a kid, you know. There's that.
Yeah, so good. I one of my grail pieces that I'd like to get eventually, if I can find it at a reasonable price, is the Super Grover that Palisades put out, which was a con exclusive that was sort of intended to launch into their Sesame Street phase. And they, of course they went under. I don't know the details of that, but that was so, I remember that. I think I saw it in Toy Fair or something. I remember getting wind of that and being so excited about the Sesame Street Palisades toys. Real quick, I should probably talk about this now. I don't know. I invited somebody to come on, and not come on the show, but to watch the show tonight. But I just want to send a little shout out to Kenneth Lilly, who is, I've recently been following him. I think I started following him last month, Creatus Maximus, who used to work for Palisades Toys. And if you're a fan of Palisades, and if you're a fan of Sesame Street or Muppets in general, you guys gotta check out his page, because he's got all of these amazing images of the Sesame Street Palisades stuff, that never made it into production. And NECA, if you're watching, well, they're not watching, but we need the play set. Look at that play set over there for 123 Sesame Street. Just amazing. And the fact that NECA is gonna get us, Oscar the Grouch eventually. I'm so excited. There's this other image too. These are sculpts. I forget the names of the artists, but the artists are listed on Creatus Maximus's page. So each image shows that he has a little description and then gives the name of the artist who worked for Palisades and sculpted these. Look at that beautiful Cookie Monster that never made it into production. So Creatus Maximus, if you're watching, Kenneth Lilly, thanks so much for putting this stuff out there for us, because I know for a lot of folks that watch this channel, a lot of people in the toy community that love the artistry of toy making and love these characters. It's so cool to see all the images, and he just reached 2,000 followers. So congrats, Kenneth. Keep posting the amazing stuff. So I had to do that because what Kenneth is putting up there is awesome. Bobby.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're here, my friend.
What was going through your mind when I did that? You thought someone hacked you or what?
Well, yeah, you should have felt my heart, dude, because it happened to Oz. It happened to Oz before, so I take it pretty seriously. I'm like, and the way your voice though, I was like, okay, part of me is like, this is definitely somebody we know, but it's not Oz. It doesn't sound like Oz. It doesn't sound like Bobby. So good job, my friend.
I couldn't hold it. I was laughing as I was doing it. I was trying to compose myself. I wanted to say more, but it wasn't.
As soon as you started to say, what did you say? Do you want to see what my grandpa and I have been doing?
Yeah, I want to see what me and my grandmother do after my grandfather left.
I was like, I have just taken this guy off the screen. And then I'm panicking because I'm so not prepared for this. I don't know how to delete the person who's hacked in. But I got to figure that out. But anyways, Bobby,
you can't, I don't think you can hack in because I was hoping Oz could show up. I was sitting there watching, waiting for him to come in because I was going to blame him because he always spreads the links out, and I was like, "Yeah, you sent the link to me, and now I got it." You know?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Well, he's got a large.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome verse going on, and he's got a lot of branches of it, so I can see how that could happen. But
yeah. I had that plan since this week, since you guys said that you're going to be on. I was like, yeah, I'll tell them I'm out of town, so they don't even suspect me and all that.
I love it. My heart is just now stopping.
That's good. I'm glad I didn't give you a heart attack.
Stopping,
because I know you.
Wait,
you
is it stopping?
Well, not stop. Hopefully.
No. So I know, Bobby. I know you're a huge fan of The Count.
Yes.
And I know that's it goes deeper than just like Dracula and vampires. It's like The Count is this amazing character. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with Sesame Street.
Well, I liked it. Well, I grew up, obviously grew up, since I was born in 73, I was growing up watching Sesame Street all the time on PBS and all that stuff. And I really liked the Muppets. And when the Muppet Show came out as well, we used to watch it for school. We would talk about it, like the latest episode. I was like in first or second grade or something like that. We were discussed that, like what the episode was about and all that. So that was kind of fun. But it was always, I just liked the Muppets. They were fun to watch. The Count I really stuck with because I was always into monsters as a little kid. I liked the Munsters and the Universal Monsters, all that stuff, and watching Svengoolie since I was young. I was really attracted to like a lot of the horror themed characters, and I still am. I always pick them out first as my favorites. And The Count, obviously, he counts. Wasn't big into numbers back then, but now I do that for work a lot. But
you are the Count.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
it was Sesame Street was me and my brother and sister. We used to have a few of the records that we used to play and sing along to as kids. And we had the Christmas album. And we had another one that had the Big Bird on the front. I think it was the one that had the alphabet song on it, the Abigadecky Jekyll and Nakastuwitz's song.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard that. Yeah, we used to play that a lot when we were kids. And there was a lot to do with that. But yeah, they're just fun to watch. They're always fun. I don't like it as much anymore. The show's a lot different now than it used to be.
Changed.
It doesn't seem as fun, but maybe because I'm getting older, I don't know. But I don't like a lot of the newer versions of things. But it's it used to be. It felt like, because I grew up in Chicago and in a not the richest neighborhood, and then I felt kind of connected to them because they seemed kind of like down earth and stuff there too.
Yeah. And
they go to Mr. Hooper's. We had a little candy store around the corner from my house I used to go to and stuff. So it was like kind of similar to that. But yeah. But the Muppets I was always attracted to the Muppets and the songs, music. It was just entertaining. It was just, a lot of fun.
The Jim Henson sense of humor,
yes,
was very present in the late 70s, early 80s episodes of Sesame Street that I watched. And there were a lot of great characters that no longer are around. No spoiler. I mean, this is kind of a spoiler, but I'm going to be making a video this weekend of Roosevelt Franklin that I just got from Super 7 before the 8% hike. And this character no longer exists on Sesame Street for a variety of reasons, but I loved the Oscar the Grouch's snarkiness.
Yeah,
was not just with Oscar. The other characters had snarkiness too. Kermit the Frog would get into these fits. I mean, so much fun when he was a reporter. I mean, there were scenes like one that's ingrained in my head that I've tried so hard to find clips of. I finally recently did was the Bert and Ernie I think it's Kermit, if I remember correctly. Kermit buys dentures from a denture salesman and puts them in. It's one of the most terrifying things that I had ever seen as a kid. He wears them and then he chases Bert or Ernie around. I mean, it was so funny, not educational at all. I don't know what they were thinking with that skit, but it's burned into my brain. And Bert and Ernie I remember having this feeling as a kid. I wanted to be like both of them. I wanted to be pragmatic and grumpy like Bert, and I wanted to be cheery and overly positive like Ernie. And I've not been very good at being Bert in my life, but I've definitely, it feels like I'm constantly being told that I'm Ernie by people who are close to me. There he is. But yeah, Bobby, I'm with you. Guys, I'm with you. Sesame Street was it was beautiful.
A lot of that stuff sticks in your head too, like the songs, like those little cartoons, all that stuff. It's still, I mean, probably because we watched it over and over again, but it's still, it's there, and it was memorable. It wasn't something that you watch and forgot.
I think it was the Pointer Sisters that sang 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean,
I love the imagery of that.
So good.
Pinball game.
Yeah, the pinball game, and then they had the blimp or whatever it is, or Zeppelin flying in the background in the space. That image right there, I always loved, and it always reminded me when I was driving in my parents' car when I was really little, and I'd look out the window and it was dark out. It would remind me of that. And I would sit there and think, it's kind of a weird thing, but it brings back a lot of memories. I like a lot of I'm not big into the Muppets and stuff once it hit past 80, like 1980. I like 70s and stuff like that more.
Sure.
I like a lot of the original designs too, like Big Bird's original design, how he looks all weird, stuff. That's stuff I like a lot.
Well, stuff. I know people enjoy the toy talk on here too. The Big Bird that they announced that NECA is going to put out comes with the alternate head of the original Big Bird.
Oh, really?
Which is I would have avoided.
Creepy.
Yeah, super creepy. Actually, I have a picture of him here.
Yeah, the one you put on the thumbnail, right?
Yeah. So that's the original head sculpt of Big Bird, and they're gonna give us that original head sculpt of Big Bird.
He looks high.
He does. He looks. He just woke up from a long night, and he. What is the term? He waked and baked.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I love that too. And folks, if you're watching, the little Castle Grayskull over here is on purpose. We are going to be talking about Masters tonight in some capacity. In fact, I asked my channel now on YouTube when I'm there's a little option for you to ask AI what kind of for ideas for new videos, and I was like, what is the Skelevator channel's dilemma? And it produced this AI image of Elmo fighting Skeletor, and Elmo's kind of kicking Skeletor's butt here.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Elmo.
I'm not either. I stopped watching Sesame Street probably before Elmo even arrived. I've never had an attachment to Elmo.
No.
I am going to talk about Elmo in a little bit, but
when my son was little, we would watch the videos. So we just watched it on YouTube, but we would watch some of the Elmo stuff, which he liked.
Yeah, I mean, Elmo did sort of do what Sesame Street was trying to do, in that they really wanted to reach a preschool audience as well. And I think that most of the Sesame Street that we grew up on was appealing to us for a variety of reasons, but it didn't necessarily speak to a preschool audience. And Elmo is Sesame Street's Mr. Rogers, except he's just a little more annoying than Mr. Rogers. In fact, I was just listening. I'm audio booking a Mr. Rogers biography right now, and
he didn't teach you to read.
Mr. No, they didn't. Mr.
You gotta.
Rogers never
No,
taught
I'm
me
just
to
kidding.
read.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just listening to it.
You got to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly. But they actually modeled Elmo's sequences after the length of time Mr. Rogers scenes would take, because Mr. Rogers was very slow paced and Sesame Street was traditionally very fast paced.
Right.
And so when Elmo came around, they were like, we got to give the preschoolers some more long form segments where Elmo's just talking, slowly and sweetly. So I can see the appeal for sure, but he's not part of my Sesame Street.
Yeah, my son liked Elmo when he was really young.
Yeah.
But he grew out of Sesame Street pretty fast. He didn't really watch it as long as, say, like me or you did.
Yeah. I've noticed that about the youngsters these days that are watching it, and it's not. I've tried to watch more recent episodes, and it's just not as engaging. And I don't know if that's just the times have changed, or I'm a different
Well, the times have
now.
changed, obviously, and they're they know the audience, they're gonna do that. But I just think with so much stuff out there now compared to what we had when we were little, we didn't have all those other distractions.
Mm-hmm.
Video games, all your devices and all that stuff. We just had the TV. So that was the most entertaining thing we had was that at the time. So
now kids have so many things to choose from.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. It's a lot. And we would sit down and spend time with PBS. PBS, not to get political, but the idea of cutting funding to PBS is
stupid.
Absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
PBS in extremely substantial ways helped me develop. All the good parts of me came from PBS and partly from my parents, but I spent a lot of time with PBS and a lot of time listening to the way those people communicated with one another, and it was huge. It was a big deal. And that's insane to me. So I also used AI to create this. What if Sesame Street could do a Masters of the Universe? And that's what this got.
That's crazy.
I kind of want that Castle Grayskull, actually.
I want this in my living room. This whole thing.
I could see that the Jawbridge talk.
Yeah.
What are you guys coming down here for?
What are you doing here?
Exactly.
Hey, I'm Stink Fartendale. You come over here.
Stink Fartendale.
I can see. What's the password? And that's the whole thing. It's not by the power of Grayskull. It's by the power of, and they have to figure out. And then it'd be like, a la peanut butter sandwiches. And then bam, it would open the Jawbridge.
That'd be hilarious. It would be like those rocks. Remember those rocks in the Muppets? When they had that one sentence, totally. Like that. And they're talking.
So I went down an AI rabbit hole. I also looked up what Masters of the Universe would look like in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood of make-believe too. Oh wow! And this was pretty cool. I just love that they modeled Castle Grayskull, the shape off of King Friday's castle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So love that.
And the children were never seen again.
Exactly.
What was that, Miss Fairchild? What was her name? Miss Fairchild, or what was her? Lady Fairchild, I think.
There was Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Wasn't Lady Haberlin?
The little puppet ladies I'm talking about from Mr. Rogers.
Lady Elaine Fairchild.
Okay. Yeah, I could see her like Evelyn or something.
Totally. Lady Elaine was like, Kermit the Frog with dentures was scary. Lady Elaine was scary too.
Yeah.
Lady Elaine was ready to throw down and choke a bitch, basically, which was awesome.
Oh my gosh, she was so cool, and she ran a museum.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
that was in the Round. It was like a library museum in the Round. Like, how cool is that? And then I asked AI to make Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain on an island, and they just made it look claymation, which was amazing to me. Anyways, AI can be fun. I mean, it's
fun.
scary, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun to make images just to screw around with and stuff like that, you know, because I'm not an artist. Like, you know, I mean, I could draw a tiny bit, but I'm not really good at all. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I just don't promote it as saying I created this art as my own, you know. That's why I drew that, you know.
when you said that you used AI to help you create the soundscapes behind your Decker Northcutt case files, that just blew my mind, because
not the sound. I use the images. When I think of a character, I put in a few words, and the character pops up, and then I see the image, and then I can think of a storyline for that character. That's what I do.
That's what you do. That's brilliant. Oh yeah, you said you found the clips like in a platform that you use for editing.
Yeah, well, Canva I use for sound effects.
That's so cool.
I get the sound effects there, and sometimes I layer them together because they're not what I want. So I find different things, you know, and put them together. Like that one, when that warehouse exploded, I used I think 5 or 6 different things to make it all one explosion and last whole hour.
Love it.
Cool. But yeah,
love it.
But the AI stuff I use to create all those images you see that I use for Decker, I use that to create my characters and stuff.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you just launched into a new case file.
Yeah, last night. Yep.
Last night, folks, get on it.
First time in since last December was my last case. So yeah, it's been 4 months.
Yeah. I feel like we have a lot to catch up on. We've missed you, Bobby.
Yeah, I haven't been on since last year.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Yep. Bobby has a lot of really cool tattoos that are in reference to pop culture things that are of interest to him. I have one, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this on here. Maybe I have, but my tattoo is actually in reference to both Sesame Street and Masters of the Universe. Sometimes I've referred to it as the Masters of the Universe thing, and sometimes I've referred to it as the Sesame Street thing. But this tattoo of this circle is finding the source for this circle took me years.
Really?
I was like, I know that I want to have something that represents something that is like part of my core being. And so I always had a difficult relationship with Orko as a kid. I loved him and I hated him. I loved him and I hated him, but I always admired his positivity. And so I was like, well, I want to get a tattoo of the Orko circle. So the idea of a circle, all right, that's cool. But which circle? I don't want to take it from the cartoon, but I kind of do. And then I remembered the Sesame Street Book of Shapes from either 1976 or 1978. I can't remember which year, and I don't have the book anymore that I had as a kid. I found that circle in that book, and I took that into the tattoo parlor, and I said, this is the circle that I want, and they gave that to me. So, yeah, my tattoos aren't as cool as yours, Bobby, but
oh, Jesus.
This one's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think of it as the germs.
Yeah, and there's the germs. Okay. Not the band Perfect Circle that came much later, which was like, who's that? I forget who was even in that band. It's like some conglomerate band. But yeah, germs too. I had already had that tattoo by the time I discovered the germs.
Wow.
Because I came a little late in the game for the germs, but
was Pat Smear in the germs?
Yes.
Was there like a Nirvana connection? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Love the germs now, and I have that connection now too. I was like, I don't want to get something that's too like niche. I wanted to have it. It could mean a lot of different things. So Sesame Street and Masters of the Universe came through for me.
That's great.
And the Germs.
Yeah.
But we actually have some Muppet Masters of the Universe comparisons that Adam put together. And this is a good opportunity for us to also delve into some like Battle Ram blog Masters history too, while comparing characters. Are you ready, Adam?
I'm ready.
Oh, wait, am I ready? Okay, here we go.
Welcome to another edition of the Battle Ram Report, brought to you by Adam, author of the BattleRamblog.com website, the best Motu site on the web. He'll throw you a He-Man punch and a Skeletor blast. Be ready to get some knowledge. Take it away, Adam.
I love that so much. And having Bobby right here while his narration is happening it's reminding me of all the good feels.
Good.
Yeah, for sure.
Just don't feel on camera.
So yeah, I think we were chatting on Instagram, okay, what are the connections? So the ones that always makes, you know what, I didn't think about this at first, but I had posted like a custom I made of Stratos that was based on the original concept art, and somebody told me that he looked like Sam the Eagle from Muppets. And so ever since then, I always think of Stratos as Sam the Eagle.
That's awesome. It's a really great comparison. I would be interested to hear Joe Amato's take on this. But yeah, this is fantastic. I'm sure he's already made a Sam the Eagle Stratos in his, arsenal of customs.
Probably. Sam the Eagle Stratos lazily flying in the Wind Raider. That's his always thing.
Yeah, right.
Stratos is so lazy.
Yeah, that's really great.
So yeah, I and basically this is my excuse. Like, okay, here's a little bit of history of Stratos.
Yeah.
So this
Can't help yourself, can you?
No, I'm the total one note. That's the one note I have is like He-Man.
And thank
that's
goodness.
all I got.
Yeah, right.
So this is the original Mark Taylor concept art, which is going on sale at Heritage Auctions in May.
Wow.
So cash in your 401k and sell your
if you have any left,
kidney if you have any left. Yeah, because those are going to go for a lot.
When is this going? When is this going up?
Oh, let's see. Let me look really quick. I think it's late May. Let's see.
Wow.
So much.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see what it sells for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, my prediction is that let's see. Oh, the bidding opens May 9th. So there's a whole bunch of them. There's like Skeletor, He-Man, Battle Cats, Green Goddess, Merman. My prediction is Stratos will actually go for the least, but I'm sure it will be multiple thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Is it for charity?
It's being sold, from my understanding, it's being sold by Rebecca, Mark's wife.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if she's just needs to get some liquidity there or what.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically, this version of Stratos is kind of what you see in those early Don Bluth, Alfredo Alcala comics. Mm-hmm. Although the coloring, like if you look at his chest, you can see that pop of like tan, but that's not his whole body. So was that meant to be lighting? Was he supposed to be tan, or was he always supposed to be gray? And he was just misinterpreted for the comic. I don't know.
It's a coffee stain.
Could be a coffee stain. Yeah.
He spilled his peach juice. I wonder. It almost looks like they were trying to create that lighter skinned ape chest, almost on him,
Could be.
which is
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. And he's very much basically the Beastman body, the original idea with very prominent toes, and
Yeah.
he's not wearing goggles in this. He's got big bird eyes, so he's much more of a creature.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah. Look at the size of those eyes. That's incredible.
Yeah. And the other difference, I guess, between this and the toy is he's got just the way the jetpack connects to the connects around his neck and a belt, as opposed to like the straps that went on the actual toy. This one, like the back view is interesting. It must have been before they had the prototypes, because the way the arm articulation looks, it looks more like the Big Jim Gorilla. Like
Yeah,
the
right.
way
That so does. Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to how it actually ended up on the toy.
That's cool. Stratos is one of the vintage figures I don't have. One of the many I don't have.
Yeah, you gotta get Stratos. I mean, he's kind of there's a few people are he's their favorite, but I think most people are. He's like kind of a step down. He's like a tier or two down.
He was one of my. I had a lot of fun playing with him as a kid, and then as I became an adult collector, he just never was like that exciting to me. But I've grown affection for this guy since.
So here's two early appearances. One very briefly as a villain, which I've talked about before on our show before. But then after that as a hero with that concept design and the tan color.
So in the Masters of the Universe movie that they're making right now, are they going to make him look like this, do you think? Or will he be flesh colored? Will he be gray? Will it be a full-on suit? Will it be a jetpack? Will it be wings? What do you guys all think?
My guess is they'll kind of make him semi-Filmation-y with like boots, and it's like a suit he's wearing.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. I
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they stick with that color scheme, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen. Are those images for that movie? Is that all real stuff, or is that just like someone made like AI crap?
We haven't really seen any of the villains' costumes yet, as far as I know. The one image of He-Man with the sword is real.
Yeah.
Like where you just see the chest and the front of the sword.
Right.
But CinemaCon showed a bunch of images. CinemaCon in Las Vegas showed a bunch of images, and the people who saw the images said that the designs of the characters are very much based on what we are familiar with.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, I mean,
that makes it more exciting.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm super excited about this. I didn't want to be excited about this.
It's not like watching Mortal Kombat 2 movie and none of the characters looked like how they did in the game. It was just like, what the hell? Raiden? What's this? It was terrible.
Or, and I love this movie now, or the 87 Masters of the Universe movie. I mean, when I was a kid, I was so disappointed that the characters didn't look like, who I was familiar with.
Yeah.
I want Stratos to look like this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. This is just some additional concept for basically the strap. The prototype is strangely, he didn't have like the Beastman chest. He's got like a He-Man chest, and they didn't have like the sculpted feathers on his harness yet either. So this would have been like they would have made like a resin mold of this and painted it up for the catalogs that this appeared in early on.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite. Is the cross-sell art. I like just the refinements to his costume.
Yeah,
the coloring, and he does appear that way finally in the fourth Alcala mini comic, Battle on the Clouds.
And there's Bluebeard, old Bluebeard.
Yeah, good old Bluebeard. Which, as far as I can tell, was really a factory error. Because if you look at that prototype from the other page, he doesn't have a blue beard. He's got blue goggles, gray beard. Now, the original concept art, he had blue beard and blue around his eyes, but it wasn't. By the time they got to the prototype, it was gray beard. So I think is basically the factory screwed up. They mixed up the gray and the blue because he's even got blue eyebrows instead of gray eyebrows. And the goggles. So, but it is anything rare in production that's going to be okay. Collectors want that. That becomes very collectible. So that's
in that point. That's why I don't like the variations nowadays, because they do that on purpose. And it's like back then it was just mistakes and people grabbed onto that. But it's like, here's an alternate version if you want it, and you better buy it, and it's all garbage.
Right.
The one thing about Origins that I'm predicting will be kind of it'll be interesting to see what's worth more later on down the line. Not that even matters, but then the female knees changing.
Yeah.
Which Evil Lyn do you have? Do you have the new knee Evil Lyn or the old knee Evil Lyn? I'm stumbling over those words, but I think that might be the only thing. There are probably some other things too, but
that was on purpose though. They changed that because everybody was complaining about the knees, so they made it better. Which I thought the newer knees were better.
Oh, they're much better, yeah.
But that's a different variant than we got this one's got a different color paint or something. It's all done on purpose,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because I have heard of some other variants that seem like mistakes, but maybe they're not.
Yeah. Well, like there was the Clamp Champ. He was initially with very light skin.
Yeah.
And those go for a lot too, like the Origins Clamp Champ.
Oh wow, they've already gone up in price. Yeah.
Yeah, those, like if you want to buy one on eBay, it's basically inflated prices because it's like a rare variant.
Right. Yeah, I have one of those. I think it was the is it the Battle Armor He-Man where he's got the laces on his boots?
Oh yeah.
I have that one.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Which was a kind of a cool looking thing.
I mean, I just picked it up at the store. I didn't even know it was going to be a variant, and come to find out later on it was, but yeah.
And then like for Stratos, like at all points in production, you could either find blue. This seems intentional. Blue wings, red harness, red wings, blue harness. That is something that you can find that in the Bluebeard version, the version that followed afterward, the later production. There's always those options.
And Origins never did a red winged Stratos, right?
Yeah, which is weird.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, both versions are blue wings, just different shades of blue and red. But
I was always a fan of the red wings the most.
Yeah, because that's the cross-sell art and Filmation.
Yeah,
they both had red wings.
And that was the one I had when I was a kid. I originally got Stratos when it came out, and it was red.
I wish I knew which one I had as a kid. I knew I had Stratos, but I can't remember.
Because the blue, it goes too close to the gray of his body. The red snaps better.
The red pops,
more. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it works better just because there's the red belt, so you need the contrast of the blue harness,
Right.
and so it back and forth, red and blue all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that artwork. Beautiful.
Love it.
So, Skelly, you gave me this idea because you posted this in our little group chat.
Yeah.
The two-headed monster, obviously, it's too bad, right?
Yeah.
and they don't get along sometimes too, which is like such a similar thing to Too Bad as well.
Yeah, and even one of the Too Bad heads, Badger, I think, he's even got the horns on the side of the head. So
yeah,
and he's purple.
Yeah.
Yep. It would be interesting to know, like, well, I mean, obviously the brighter colors is more aligned with Sesame Street, but this, original design of Too Bad doesn't have any of that similarity to.
No.
But it'd be interesting to know, like, what the advising team, as far as color design and color choice, were thinking, because we grew up with a lot of bright colors, whether it be Hanna-Barbera cartoons or Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers or anything. It was just Batman, the 1966 Batman. All the colors were so bright, and someone probably saw this design and was like, I don't know if kids are going to want this. They're going to want purple. They're going to want purple and blue.
Yeah, a lot of the villains are that color, though, if you think about it.
Yeah,
they are. So this was by Roger Sweet. His original name was Schizo, which, because he's supposed to be half good, half evil, and you can't, So there's that element, which obviously, like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
So he tried different versions of it, like the two evil versions. One of them, which looks like, he's an extra on what's the I'm blanking, the nuclear radiation or nuclear waste superhero.
Toxic Avenger.
Oh,
Toxic Avenger. Yeah, he could be like something from that,
totally.
My guess is we don't have like concept art for the actual final Too Bad. My guess is somebody else took Roger's basic idea and then developed it to that something else, because we saw the same thing with Tunlasher, which was originally like this red, more snaky by Ted Mayer, but then like when it was redesigned, it was a different designer. It wasn't Ted Mayer who did it, so it's probably somebody else. We don't know who did it, who did the final version. It's another variation.
I've never seen this sketch.
I don't know if I have.
Yeah, either. That one's kind of cool. I think it's better. Like, it's a better combination of heads than the other.
Yeah, this one's like a little too Prince Adam-y,
right
over there, and this one looks like it could be like a warrior dude. Is this one in the Power and Honor Foundation book, or no? I don't recall seeing this before.
I'm not sure if that's there. It might have been in one of the Tomart's action figure guides. Action figure digest.
I like that he's got. Do you see this? He's got tattoos. He's got a skull and crossbones and like a bat tattoo on his shoulder. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me want a skull and crossbones tattoo.
Think before you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So on the left we've got the prototype Too Bad, which already has the new look, but it's if you compare him to the toy, he's not nearly so top heavy. Which I think they had to do for all this. He's got 3 springs. He's got the spring waist, and each arm is spring loaded. Right. And they wanted him to be able to do the bear hug thing, so he's bigger on top.
You mean punch each other in the face?
Or punch each other in the face, yeah.
That was the real selling point for me. I saw my friend do that, and I was like, I need that toy. I know there's something about being able to punch your other self in the face is very, very intriguing to me.
Right. Yeah. And there's the variants. Yeah, there's the flat back. The round back was first.
Yeah.
I just would imagine packaging was a challenge and the weight.
Yeah.
So they were able to shave off some of the back.
Question for you experts. Which is the more enviable too bad? Which is the too bad that you see people wanting the most in their collections?
The round back, I believe.
Yeah, I would agree. It's not that it's not hard to find or anything. It's not like a Bluebeard Stratos, but it is. Right. It's a slightly harder to find. And people seem to want that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just nice that it's sculpted back there. The flat back one has slightly indented lines that show what might be the spikes. Like it's like drawn in, like etched in. I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But the round back actually has a sculpted back, which is very cool.
Yeah, I have both, and I like the round back better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are card backs. So the round back, so that's left to right. The left one's earlier. That's the round back card back. And in the instructions, the top one's different because they had planned. It looks like they planned to package one arm not assembled, like not on the figure.
Oh, really?
Because I think because he was so bulky, that was like they figured, okay, we'll fit him in a smaller bubble. They didn't actually do that, but that's what's in the instructions.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
I never look at details that close like that. I
that's
that.
That's great.
So in the reissue with the flatback, they cut out the arm instruction, and instead they add a new one at the end where he's grappling with Man-at-Arms.
Oh wow!
And then the last,
that's so cool.
Yeah, the last one is Top Toys, and that's for some reason they grouped him with the Evil Horde. So he's in Top Toys. He's a Horde character.
Hey, that's all right.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
I'm just noticing this too. Let's go back to the original card back. One of the action features is that they can look away from each other. I love that so much. I don't want to talk to you. That's my action feature.
Yeah.
That's great. I want a T-shirt of just that.
There you go. That'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
So there's our Errol McCarthy art on the left. That was for one of the UK magazines. They would do those power pinups. And then the Filmation version on the right.
Yep. Absolutely beautiful.
Yep.
Muppet colors and everything. Yeah, the Filmation one especially, you could definitely see that as a Muppet character.
Mm. Yeah. I like the Filmation version of Too Bad.
So do I.
I always have. And he showed up, I feel like when he showed up, I would celebrate. Like, it was so cool to see a character. Some of the villains just rarely showed up. Spikor and Too Bad. And when they did, it was like, oh, this is so great. And that is very much like what we were talking about. Was it the last time we did the Frenzy, Sean? We were talking about how the Count was like that too. The Count wasn't in. I don't remember the Count being in every single Sesame Street episode. Mm-hmm. He was like, it was like a special occasion when you got the Count.
Yeah.
And it's kind of I love those. I love those the characters that are like that show up and you haven't seen them for a while. And it was so frustrating though in Masters of the Universe though. In the Filmation cartoon, it was so frustrating. I remember being like, "Oh, another one with a villain I don't even have a toy of," or a villain that's not even offered as a toy. You know, it
Mhm.
really
They said that. Well, they made comments that they did that because of storytelling, and they couldn't keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I liked that because it made me hopeful that maybe someday they would make those characters, but they never did. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, with the
Until classics or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and then hopefully they'll do some of those on the cartoon collection Origins figures.
I'm so out of it.
Yeah,
I don't even know what they have coming out.
They've got Fangman coming out. So.
Fangman's coming.
Oh yeah,
which is
I have the
cool.
classics of that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed the boat on so many of those, like with the classics, obviously. So I was really stoked to get Voltac. That was a big one for me because he was one that he was always reasonably priced toward the end, especially after classics was over. But I just never pounced on it.
He's a big figure too, with the wings.
Yeah. He's a big Origins figure. His wingspans, you want to see? Have you seen?
Oh, you don't have the classics. You have the
No,
Origins.
I just have the
okay.
Origins. Yeah.
Because that's what I did. I went and got all the Filmation characters out of classics. That was like Adam was doing. You know, he had specific ones he wanted to get.
Yeah,
that's what I did. I just went for all the Filmation characters, except for some of the She-Ra ones I don't have, but all the He-Man ones I do.
Yeah,
and most of the Horde. I think I got all the Horde. I can't remember.
I would be interested, I mean, all the collaborations that keep getting talked about, if the toy industry does not completely crash, it would be really cool. For a while in the Disney parks, there were these Muppet Star Wars crossover figures that were like little PVC figures, or maybe they were even little action figures. I never got them, but they were very cool. I think Gonzo was Darth Vader. That's awesome. And he actually, I think he dressed up like Darth Vader in one of the Star Wars Muppet Show episodes.
He did. Yep. His Darth Vader.
Yes. And so they did a crossover like that for Star Wars. Like, I think it would be fun to do a Muppets or Sesame Street crossover with Masters of the Universe. Just saying. Not that anyone's going to ever do that, but I think that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be something. I'd like to see Beastman as one of the Muppets. The hair that just kind of floats in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of neat.
I could see the Count. I mean, there's some obvious things like the Count as Skeletor.
Oh, you mean actual Muppets being a character? I see.
Yeah, or I would like to see Big Bird with He-Man's armor.
Yeah.
But I guess
Sweetums could be Beastman.
Sweetums could be Beastman or Grizzlor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Sweetums be Beastman. Sweetums is great.
Yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
And Beastman is great.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Or Beastman as animal. I don't.
That would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing for some like Ernie being Prince Adam makes sense to me with his laid backness, but then I'm like, when you said about Big Bird with He-Man's armor, then I'm thinking Bert is Adam, and then he doesn't. That power grace going. Then he turns into a giant bird, scares the living crap.
Oh my god, funny. That would be great. And
Snuffleupagus is Battle Cat then.
Yeah, right.
Snuffleupagus is Battle Cat. Bert as Man at Arms.
Bird, let's fight Skeletor.
Wow. Yeah, I want to see Bert as Man at Arms. I want to see Elmo as Ram Man. Let's see. I have look over here at my. Who would Oscar the Grouch be? Moss Man?
Probably.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. So, Bobby, Who would be Tila? Janice? You gotta
Miss
mix
Piggy,
it up.
I
Miss
guess.
Piggy would be Tila.
Or
Yeah, I
was
would
she
say
a
Piggy would be Tila.
sorceress, maybe? Because
Oh,
she'd be
Miss
more
Piggy.
glamorous looking as sorceress, I think.
Janice would have to be Evil Lynn then.
For sure.
If
For
we're
sure.
sticking to gender, if we're sticking to gender assignments,
Are we going to be evil today?
Dr.
For
Teeth
sure.
could be Trap Jaw.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah, Dr. Teeth is Trap Jaw.
I love it.
For sure. For sure. Oh, man. Oh, Floyd. Floyd could be Stratos.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the eyes, I could see that in the weird.
Yeah, although Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, Sam the Eagle. Yeah, we just talked that.
Yeah. Gonzo could be Spike, or I don't know why that really appeals to me. We didn't plan for this, folks. So for the 3 people that are watching, this is just off the cuff. We're going crazy.
We're going nuts. Strap in, folks. Here we go.
Here we go. Wow, you turned into Dr. Teeth there.
I know.
Awesome.
I love Dr. Teeth. He's probably my second favorite Muppet, behind the Count.
I could listen.
I love him.
I could listen to Dr. Teeth and Rolf the dog.
Yeah.
Talk to each other.
Yeah, because they got a similar voice. It's because it's
day
him,
long. It's Jim Henson, but like that is the best version of Jim Henson. The sarcastic, matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
I love that both Rolf and Dr. Teeth will just say what's on their mind.
Yeah.
In a stylized way. Like they're both super cool, and they take no guff. Love it.
Yeah, I used to sing the "Can't You Picture That" in Dr. T's voice all the time. Roar Borealis shining down in Dallas. Can't you picture that?
Oh, you're good at this.
Like for surely.
Yeah, right.
Duchess is enjoying this.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right, Floyd, take a verse.
You're good at that.
Yeah, I practiced that one a long time. So I love Dr. Teeth. He's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
It would be weird not to have Kermit be He-Man, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm Kermit.
Yeah.
He's an attorney, a defender of the secrets of Castle Frogskull.
Yeah.
This is Snuffleupagus. He's doing a crossover.
Muppet Magazine actually did a
I know.
Yeah. You remember that?
And he had the mullet and everything.
He had the mullet and everything. Kermit in the Dolph Lundgren He-Man costume. And our friend Eldor, Master Versal Toy Hunter, he made a custom of that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Really amazing. Like, what a beautiful custom that is. All the muscles and everything. Because in the fold out in Muppet Magazine, he was just skinny little Kermit.
Yeah.
But in Eldor's version, he's actually buffed out.
I like to see Harry Monster as King Randor.
Harry Monster reminded me of an actor as a kid, and I can't remember the name of the actor. I don't know why I'm saying it. I'm not going to think of it. It's not Danny Aiello. He was an actor. He was a character actor who had big bushy eyebrows, and he looked just like Harry Monster. It doesn't matter. I'm excited that NECA's making Harry Monster.
Are they?
They are, and I'm very excited about that.
He's next. He's one of the next ones.
What other? Ideally, NECA will really go the distance with this Sesame Street line. I'm not going to get everyone.
It's NECA though. NECA's tough to collect with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a downer about it, but they get you excited, and then they put out a bunch of them, and then all of a sudden we're not making anymore. Or they either cancel or they lose the license,
or they put out 6 versions of Alf.
Right.
Which I was kicking myself because that's frustrating, because the first Alf that came out, I was so excited to get him, and I love that he came with the Hawaiian shirt, a bunch of other things, the cat and the bread sandwich thing. But then they came out with this 80s Alf with the self-referenced Alf design skateboard and Alf on the TV, the 80s TV, and I thought that was amazing. But that's frustrating. So I hope that NECA does this. I hope that NECA doesn't do a bunch of variants of Bert and Ernie and not give us the two-headed monster.
Right.
Because I would love to have a Grover, a two-headed monster, any of the monsters.
I'm sure they'll come out with Grover, like all the main characters. They definitely will.
Hopefully. I get worried, especially in where we are right now with toys and stuff. But I hope that they continue.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. That situation there.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. What else would you guys like to see, like out of from NECA or from Super 7 with the reaction line? Like, are there any other characters that you would like to see from Sesame Street be made into plastic?
Man, there's so many. Just Sesame Street, though, right? Not Muppets.
Yeah, just Sesame Street. I mean, it would be really cool if NECA took over Muppets from Diamond Select and continued the Palisades Muppet line. They were all made already, though, and I think that's part of the issue. I mean, they did so many Muppets figures through Palisades that, I mean, my Animal here, they did, like a bunch of different variants of Animal. This one, he's wearing a Palisades T-shirt.
Yeah, I had the whole band, the Mayhem band.
Oh,
with the play set and everything. It had the drum riser and all that, and I sold that years ago. But as Muppets, Guy Smiley would be good with the piano.
Yeah,
he's on my list.
These are the Palisades designs. I mean, I definitely want to see a Cookie Monster. I'm gonna
of course,
find that Cookie Monster.
I'm sure they're going to come up with that one.
Guy Smiley, you're right. That would be amazing. Again, I think I could live without Elmo, but
I like that one that you have. The
Roosevelt Franklin.
Well, that not that one. The one you had, the he was that thief guy that would sell your stuff.
Oh yeah. What's his? Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Yeah, that
Which
guy.
is who's the guy that throws fish?
New Zealand.
Oh yeah.
New Zealand.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, he's on the
the
Muppets
though.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the Muppets. Okay.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
that one would be cool.
Yeah,
he would be. He's great. Kind of a deep cut. He's from our generation.
Yeah,
no longer exists on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of them that are deep cuts that, like I said, they might not, but I'm sure all the main characters. I always liked all the monsters type characters.
Sherlock Hemlock. I hope they do Sherlock Hemlock. That would be cool.
He's another one I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that I personally like is you have a reference to Count Dracula on Sesame Street, but you also have a reference to Sherlock Holmes. Like, how often does that happen on the same show?
Right.
I just get a kick out of that. And the one thing I wanted to, I'm not trying to divert it, but the one thing that you and I talked about, Skelly, on your one video for the count. And this was something that I feel like it was a miss. They could have done this. Possibly it would have been fun. They had the count. Why didn't they make a Frankenstein? And the thing is, on Sesame Street. And he would have been a good one to talk about like the parts of the body and what they do and why you need those parts. And maybe like on an episode, I'd lose my head if it wasn't latched on. You kind of, you can have that kind of a joke and have him running around trying to find this and that part throughout the episode and talk, have kids explaining, well, what do you use with your, what do you create with your hands? And then the kids could talk about, well, I like to color, or I like to play catch, or what, and doing some things like that where it's not scary, but you're getting to have a little bit of fun talking about what the parts of your body are good for and why you have them and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, if I was on that show back then, I would have been like, I think you need another one. I think you need a Frankenstein. We got the count. Let's do Frankenstein too, just for the heck of it. Or technically as monster, not Frankenstein, but you know what I mean.
Right.
That would be amazing. I think they're still hiring, Sean.
Right now, I don't know if that's the smartest.
Yeah, right.
Maybe after 4 years, hopefully something where I'd be like, hey, I'll join.
That's true. Maybe they're not hiring right now. They did just like stop.
Yes.
A bunch of they're
having some problems.
Sesame Streets in other countries. So,
and you think back then too in the 70s that was like a renaissance for the Universal monsters. So
absolutely,
it was getting popular again, and I'm surprised.
But that's the thing. Like, it makes the count that much more special that he's on Sesame Street. But they always made, I wouldn't say always, but for the most part, they'd always started with the castle. Every time that you got that castle exterior, and there he is playing on the organ and the bats. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, that was all I was thinking of for that entire segment, because it played into those Universal Monster vibes that I always loved as a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Missed opportunity. There should have been a Muppet bat included in this NECA set for the count. That would have been amazing, because I love the Muppet bats. They were just so floppy.
Yeah, they're little.
Exactly.
Just on sticks, that they're just,
The funny thing is, it was when they were at I
was going to mention them.
Groovy Ghoulies, Captain
Groovy Ghoulie, When NECA went to one of the shows recently, it might have been last year, when they displayed the count, they actually had 4 or 5 bats that were hung up around them.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got him, I'm like, wait a minute, where's the bats? They're not even in here.
Yeah,
but apparently they have something. Maybe there's going to be an accessory set coming out, because they had the wall you were talking about.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll have the wall. Maybe they'll have a couple of bats you could put near the count and some of those things. Maybe they'll have the Sesame Street lamppost or something added in with that, because they did that with Ninja Turtles. If you got the movie 4-pack, they had an accessory pack later on that it was specifically for those figures. So,
and NECA did that with Friday the 13th as well.
Yeah, that's right.
They did that.
They're doing that with Beetlejuice too. They're going to come out with a bunch of set pieces that you buy. This Beetlejuice accessory set, the sandworm and some other things.
Nice.
And that would work really well for Sesame Street. There are a lot of, not only like a brownstone, apartment front like this, like 123 Sesame Street, but also like the nest area where Big Bird lives, and those pieced together doors, like there's the doors that are all janky and funky and just posted up behind Big Bird's nest, and there's just a lot of opportunities for the set. Hooper's store, stuff like that. An interior of Bert and Ernie's apartment.
Well, the other thing too, if you look at the accessories you get with these figures, like, it blows my mind how much Bert comes with. He's got a pigeon bottle cap collection, paperclip collection, his boring stories book, and also multiple heads, and you could swap his eyebrow. That was one of the coolest things when I looked at the bottom of the box. I'm like, oh my god, it lets you know you could swap the eyebrows between the heads and everything.
It's amazing.
So the amount of thought they're putting into this stuff and putting it out there, and for the price point, which again we'll see how much the price point increases as the line goes on, but this is can't miss stuff for me right now. It is from now on, after I've gotten the 3 that I have, it is going to be pick and choose though, because there are some where I'm like, I'm good with not having this guy or that guy. But to get some of the main characters would just be, my goal at this point with the line. So like you said, Cookie Monster, Big Bird, Grover. I wouldn't need Elmo though. My daughter got into an Elmo phase a little bit when she was a kid, but that was it. Like we never really had the Elmo stuff in our house as much.
So when we get Oscar, we're gonna get Oscar. They talked about Oscar. Was it New York Toy Fair or WonderCon or something? I can't remember.
New York Toy Fair, I think it was.
Yeah, they talked about how they're still designing his, what's going on with his body and stuff. If you go to Creatus Maximus's page and you scroll through, you're going to see some Palisades designs of Oscar potentially having feet underneath the can, and a few other things too. And I thought that was very cool. I think Oscar should come with the option to take him out of the can.
That's what I would thought it would.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I mean, that's a dream come true for kids. For me, when we got Orko and you could take his hat off, that was like epic. That was an epic thing that you could do with Orko, and you take it off and there's just, a black dome. It's like there's nothing there. We knew there would be nothing there, but what if, it's very enticing. So, stuff like that would be great. Also another cape for the Count, because he did have another one that was just splotches of color too. Yeah. So an alternate cape. He's kind of the Liberace of Sesame Street. Give him some costume changes. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. Again, we're all a little bit worried about what the cost might be, but there are some characters I'm just gonna definitely get, even if I have to save up.
How much was that figure, that Count?
$39.99, I think.
Oh wow! Okay, no more $25.
Maybe $37. I think
it was typically they're around 37-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bert, Ernie, and Count were all at the same price point.
Okay.
These Ultimates from NECA have been pretty pricey for a while. I mean, the Universal Monsters are even at that price point now.
Are they really?
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I avoided getting some of them, but the Universal Monsters, and I did see the London After Midnight Lon Chaney figure.
I got him.
I saw him and I was so tempted, and I kind of regret not getting him, because that's just such an incredible lost thing.
Yeah, I used to have a 12-inch doll of him. I forgot who made it. I can't remember. It was a long time. It was like 20-something years ago. And I got all the silent ones. I got Phantom of the Opera, London After Midnight, and Nosferatu, and they're all sculpted really good. But I sold them all.
Yeah, I got it. Hang on. I got them over here. Hang on.
Little side note, folks. StreamYard just posted something on my behalf to the chat, which I don't agree with. I don't think that
Is that something new now that they do?
I guess that's something new. So apologies to the people that are watching. I did not post that. StreamYard posted that.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's lame. So StreamYard.
I see there's a share your referral link, but that should just be an option for you yourself if you want to.
Yeah, I didn't. Did I accidentally click that? I hope I didn't.
I don't know. I thought maybe you did, but maybe
no,
not.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're saying, "Oh, I didn't put that up there," but by the way, I'm bringing attention to it.
However, if you would like to, no. Oh yeah, let me.
Some Phantom.
Yeah.
The Phantom of the Opera was my favorite.
Professor Burke, London After Midnight.
Yep.
Beautiful.
And here's Nosferatu.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Beautiful.
I love these. I mean, this is what them and the Ninja Turtles are what got me into like, NECA, a little bit more. And they did not disappoint with these figures in any way, shape, or form. So that's why it's like from Ninja Turtles to these to now the Sesame Street. I'm like, it's going all over everything I've ever loved as a kid and even as an adult. But for me, they're definitely one to watch and what they keep doing. So
Pee Wee Herman. I didn't know they were gonna. I knew they were gonna do a Toonie TV Pee Wee Herman.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know they were gonna do an Ultimates Pee Wee Herman. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. Andy B is saying R.I.P. Wink. And I feel, and then Duchess said, agreed, Andy.
It's Wink Martindale.
Wink.
And the reason why I put Stink Fartindale on there is because Gene Rayburn used to call him that. So it's kind of like
hilarious.
a thing.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Plus, I didn't want to put my name on there when I came in, because then you're like, the joke wouldn't have been fun. Because you know it was me.
Yeah. If it would have been Bobbindale, that wouldn't have been as funny.
No.
Stink Fartindale is hilarious. and I think you should keep to that.
No, I'm not. No, I can't. Yeah, come watch Decker. It's written and narrated by Stink Fartindale. I don't think I'm having a hard time just using Bobby Dangerously getting people to watch compared to having Stink Fartindale.
Oh man. Well, listen, I'm glad you're back at it though, Bobby, because
it feels good.
It feels good. I'm glad. I'm loving it. I would like to see Stink Fartindale to show up in the new Naked Gun movie.
Oh God. Did you see that preview?
Yes. Do we want to talk about that? Because
we
can. Want to talk about it.
Because I'm a big fan of. I've always loved the Naked Guns.
Yeah.
Then when I found out, I was actually watching them not too long ago, and then I looked it up and I noticed that they were coming out with a new one. I was like shocked at that. And then I saw what's his name, Liam Neeson playing him, and his son. And I'm like, really? But then I saw the commercial for it, and I was like, my God, he's in there, and he's wearing that dress, and he's got his underwear, and he's just got his leg up in the, it's like, what the hell? It looks fun.
I'm excited about it.
I'll give it a chance.
The way that they handled O.J. Simpson there too, like you can't avoid it, so do it.
Right, exactly.
Jump right in.
Yeah.
Jump right in and do it.
That's the nature of those movies too. They're outrageous.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm really hoping, Seth MacFarlane is involved.
Okay.
And he's hit and miss for me.
Yeah.
But I do know that he's a geek, and I know that he has a deep appreciation for the what is it, Abrams? The people that put out the Naked Gun movies and Airplane.
Yeah. Zucker
and Abrams. Yeah. So I'm hoping that there's a deep appreciation for that.
I just hope it doesn't turn into an Easter egg movie. Meaning that, they're going to do all these jokes and it's going to pay homage to all the stuff that's happened back in the day.
The big mistake would be like, reusing jokes that
right, or something that reminds you of something from those other films.
Yeah,
I just don't like that.
Yeah, there can't be a giant condom scene in the
no.
There can't be. There can't be. So many other things.
I mean, Leslie Nielsen was genius in those movies. And his partner. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, George.
I can't remember his name now.
George. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know if I'll watch it in the theater, but I kind of like the idea of going to the theater to watch it. That's how I saw the first Naked Gun movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like it might need to happen that way.
George Kennedy. Yep.
George Kennedy. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Duchess just put that up on the chat.
Oh, awesome! I missed it.
I couldn't remember his name, but yeah, that's him. He was great in those movies too.
Yeah.
Those two were great together.
Hey,
I don't want to see them like them driving down the street and you see those two buildings that look like boobs. Remember that in the movie when he said,
"Oh yeah."
Every time something I look, I see my wife. Reminds me of my wife. And you see the two. I don't want them like that. They just casually drive by that. I don't want to see stupid shit like that. Because that's like, oh, that was in the Naked Gun. Yeah.
I'll take 2 or 3 of those things.
Yeah, but not like all throughout the film.
No. I feel like I saw a movie recently that was that did that, and it was not good. Oh, it was that's apologies to any Ghostbusters fans out there. But the newest Ghostbusters movie, the Ice World or whatever it's
Frozen
called.
Empire.
Frozen Empire. It pushed a lot of nostalgia buttons for me, but it did a lot of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and
there was just a lot of reusing of things that worked before, and it just and I love Paul Rudd and I love Dan Aykroyd and I love Ghostbusters as a franchise and all those kid actors in there, they're awesome. And Bill Murray obviously, but I feel like that movie just didn't quite do it right.
Yeah, it's one thing for nostalgia, but it's one thing when they use too much of it.
Yeah,
I just don't like that at all.
Yeah,
the Ghostbusters one, I felt like it had too many things it was trying to juggle within one movie, and it just had to do what it could to get to the finish line at a certain point. But my biggest thing with that was they literally let Janine get into a suit, and you thought that was going to be something amazing, and literally all they did was Janine's in the suit, and nothing really happened with it.
So disappointing.
I was just sitting there in the theater going, "That was it." Like she didn't even use a proton pack. Are you freaking kidding me? Like,
yeah, that is just what a horrible thing. She was always one of my favorite characters. And to see her like kick ass would have been amazing. Thank you for reminding me of that. And there were a lot of elements like that were just fell short. Ghostbusters Afterlife did it a little bit better. The first one of these new sequels, they threw in a CGI ghost that was a nod to one of the toy ghosts from the real Ghostbusters. Yeah. The cycloptic ghost. They threw that in just in the background. It was a quick like split second scene, and I was like, that's how you do it. You don't make a big deal out of it and then nothing comes of it, like with Janine. So anyways, I hope Naked Gun doesn't do that. I'm with you. Yeah,
I think going to the Naked Gun thing real quick, I honestly think the smartest thing they can do is draw from Liam Neeson's career at this point. Yeah, and I think that's what they were doing with that preview, because when I saw it, and all of a sudden the little girl's just walking into the bank and all that stuff, and then it turns into him. And I actually was like out loud going, oh my God. Like I was howling laughing at that, because it's hard for me to laugh at comedies because some of that stuff you can see coming from 300 miles.
They're not smartly written like these.
Exactly.
And I don't want to sound like an old guy, like back then our movies were better, but it's true though. The writing is terrible now compared to back then.
They're relying on things that you've already seen how many times. And like, if you go back to like the Airplane, Naked Gun movies, or even Mel Brooks movies, a lot of that stuff, they were doing things that actually were, like for them to do Blazing Saddles now would be horrible, but back then they could comment on that in a really funny way. Yeah. Yet still make a good commentary. And I think if they're smart, McFarlane will go, okay, let's double down on Liam Neeson's career as being a tough guy, and let's reconstruct it for this movie in a way where if he's willing to do this stuff, we're gonna make him do this stuff and do it. Because if they already did that, what else are they gonna do with him throughout this movie?
Right.
That could be hysterically funny. Because it's like you think of Liam Neeson, you think of like the Taken movies and all these other things he's done, The Gray or whatever, and tons of these like direct-to-video movies, and it's like they could have a lot of fun doing this, especially with him being so like a macho kind of an actor for how long, and doing something like the little girl sequence.
Well, that's exactly it, and that's how Leslie Nielsen got his start, was in serious roles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they put a serious actor into that role in Airplane, it was the funniest fucking thing like you'd seen in the, like it was so perfect. And so you have this serious actor, you get the straight man. Like that's why Leslie Nielsen is so good. And he does ham it up in the later Naked Gun movies a little bit more, but in Airplane and the first Naked Gun movie, it's spectacular.
Yes.
The every once in a while, he'll look at the camera and like it's like, oh, it's so good. And but what you're talking.
No, I was just saying, I just love to see where he's walking, he's talking, and then he's like, "Then where the hell am I?" And he like looks, he's got like that dumb look on his face, that's the stuff that's great, I love that shit.
Love it.
Or and like when he grabs what's her name's hands, and then he gets slapped, and he's like looking around, like, where did that come from?
With the third hand,
yeah.
So good.
But George Kennedy did that too a lot. That's what I liked about him. Like when they're in the same scene when they're in that restaurant and the waiter comes and he turns around and they're sitting between the two lovers' seats. Yeah. And the waiter turns around and his ass is showing. Kennedy looks, he gets that like, whoa,
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
I mean, that's where I am a little worried about that, because they did cast a guy who's been traditionally the comic relief, and George Kennedy is not really a comic relief. He's another serious actor. Yeah. In this, playing this kind of goofy role.
Oh, he even played a murderer once.
Yeah. Now, Sean, you said, when you know what you have and then you double down on it, that's where the gold is. Like when you were like, okay, this is a serious actor, let's put him in this role to be this like goof. Or here's another example of where it worked. The Barbie movie knows exactly what it is. Young Frankenstein knew exactly what it is. And both of those movies doubled down on the idea. This is a toy line. This is a horror franchise. How do we double down on this and make it funny or interesting or potentially brilliant? And that's what I'm hoping with the Masters of the Universe movie. They say that the people who have seen the clips say that the figures, the characters look like the toys. The characters look like the cartoon characters. Yes, double down on that. Make it that. Make it self-aware. Don't try and hide it under, shadows and drama. Like, make it like what it is. And there's potential in that being the thing that makes that movie successful. Just to make a fool, don't be afraid to take chances and be wonky. Right. Young Frankenstein is the perfect example of this. If anyone else put the Frankenstein monster and Dr. Frankenstein on a stage in tuxedos and did Putting on the Ritz, it would not have worked. But Mel Brooks does this. He's like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it, but I'm not going to kind of do it. I'm going to just go full. The whole song is in that scene. There's a whole. The scene is like 4 minutes long. It's a long scene. It's incredible. Like don't shy away. You got Skeletor. You got Evil Lynn. Don't be afraid to create that dynamic. you know, you got Beastman, who's going to be this giant lumbering beast, hopefully, based on what we saw with that big thing in the back behind Evil Lynn, and you know, the dots. It's like, oh, that's going to be a big lumbering CGI Beastman, perhaps. Yes, make him big, lumbering CGI, wonderful. You know, I would even accept dumb at this stage for Beastman, even though I've always thought of Beastman as being like amazing. But like, be self-referential. Like, don't be afraid. I like that they put Prince Adam in pink and white.
Yeah,
that takes balls. Like, that takes serious guts to do that, and they're doing it. So I hope the Naked Gun movie does that too. We, you know, we've seen movies that do this, and we've seen them work. And I know that I've talked about this guy before on here, but I think James Gunn has helped prove that. You know, the Guardians of the Galaxy's movies could be blockbuster films and still be, you know, goof fests. I mean, just like these, you know, weirdos come together, and the movies are fun and they're good. Anyways.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it. Like with James Gunn, going to that real quick, like you watch Guardians 1 and it's a fun adventure. You watch Guardians 2 and you're leaving there blubbering, ugly crying.
Yes.
You give a damn about these characters so much that when Yondu's lost, and you have that whole entire sequence with he might have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy, and all that.
Oh
and
my God.
How many people in the theater didn't see that moment coming, and they're like, wow, they went there. And to this day, I can't listen to that Cat Stevens songs without breaking down, because I connected to that, and I connected to Ted Lasso on top of that. And as the father of a son myself, I connected to looking at my own child and going, there's lines in that song that I can't even hear without it affecting me, because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that stuff, you need to have people in the position of working on these properties who will fight for these ideas. Because
this is a good example right down here. Like,
that's exactly, and that's why I wanted to bring that up too. Gene Wilder had a lot of ideas, the Putting on the Ritz scene, and there were some other ones where he was arguing them with Mel Brooks, and Mel Brooks actually was like, he was saying no, and then once he got through the argument, he's like, I just wanted to see if you actually had any more reason than I just want to.
right.
And when he saw that there was a reason behind it, then he was like, yeah, it makes sense, let's keep it in. But it's the whole, you got to knock on the foundation to see if these things actually will hold up, you know?
Exactly. And you got to admire someone who decides to have a crazy idea, sticks to their guns, and makes it happen. That it works. Sometimes it doesn't work, but a lot of the time, like with the prequels, in my opinion, the Star Wars prequels, George Lucas sticking to his guns on all that stuff doesn't necessarily work. But you have to. Some people are definitely going to argue with me on that one, but it's going to work for somebody, and that's how you create authenticity. You create authenticity by coming up with an idea that seems like it's a risk, but it's true, and you do it. I didn't realize that about Young Frankenstein Duchess, so thank you for that. I knew that Gene Wilder wrote Young Frankenstein, or wrote Young Frankenstein with Mel Brooks.
Yes.
But I didn't know that was like one of those ideas that he had to fight for. That's awesome. And I'm glad he did. Mel Brooks is not the perfect director. I mean, there are some of his movies I'm like, dude, this is not working for me. Yeah. But some of them hit so good.
But that's the difference between the prequels versus Star Wars. You know, the original that always gets me. Like, if you watch the making of episode 1 on the DVD, it's a better movie than when you watch episode 1, because you're literally watching them from day one of him writing in that yellow memo pad. Yeah. Episode 1, here's the crawl and all that stuff. And you see behind the scenes George Lucas has now become a cult of personality unto himself, and everybody there is just like, we just need to make George happy. You literally, the executive producer, everybody, they're all just there. They from the looks on their faces, this isn't a good idea, but who's going to tell them? And nobody wants to tell them. When you watch the original movies, he had to fight Gary Kurtz. He had to fight his own ex-wife for editing and stuff to make it into what it became. And a lot of those reasons that it's good is he had to fight for those things.
Yeah.
And then once he actually had a bunch of yes men on the crew doing the prequels, there's that vibe of like, so basically everything that made a whole lot of difference about those originals is out the window because nobody wants to tell them, maybe you don't need this. Maybe you want to rethink this. Does that make sense? No, but okay, you know.
I was just
those guys are like, thankfully I have a paycheck and I'm doing this.
I'm saying that they're getting paid.
Yeah, and that's the difference between the prequels and something magical like the original.
It'll help their career because they can put their name on the credit of a Star Wars film, you know.
And now it's like you're one of how many hundreds of other people out in California that have the same thing. And, you know.
I do want to say that I'm watching the season 2 of the Industrial Light and Magic docuseries that that just launched on Disney Plus. I was like, I loved season 1 because it was all that tactile and special effects, model making, and all that stuff that's right up my alley. And then it ends. Season 1 ends as they enter the digital era, and season 2, it's like beginning in the digital era, and so much of me was like, I don't know if I want to go there and watch this. I have mixed feelings about all that, but it's been kind of eye-opening too. So much of what you were saying, Sean, is in that documentary. No one's saying it overtly, but you can see it. And even Rick McCallum, the producer, is like the enforcer for George's ideas. And it's crazy. And it was very touching actually to watch. There's a sequence in there. I think it's episode 2 or whatever. Maybe it's I don't remember which one it is, but there's a sequence where Ahmed Best, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, is talking about his experience, and boy, that's rough. It's like, it is. I mean, I feel for the guy. I'm not a fan of Jar Jar Binks, but to have gone what he went through, must have been just devastating. And that happens. Unfortunately, that happens when a bad idea is not put into check. And I don't think Jar Jar Binks was necessarily a bad idea. It ended up being problematic. That character ended up being problematic for a multitude of reasons. But that actor who played Jar Jar like put his heart into that role, and like it's really hard to see him talk about what he went through after that. But I mean, you know, taking risks, having a team that says no, and then fighting those no's with your idea that you're willing to fight for. This sometimes works and it sometimes doesn't work. And I just hope that the films that are coming out can that the directors of the films and the producers of these films that are coming out, where there's a lot at stake, that they take it seriously. And I feel like the newest Indiana Jones movie, the newest Ghostbusters movie, they didn't try hard enough, and I feel like the Barbie movie did. And you know, that Barbie movie is amazing. I don't know if you guys have watched it more than once, but watched it. It's very good, and it's very good on multiple levels. It's just the what was the other movie that I mentioned? Guardians of the Galaxy's movies.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad movie, the second one that was directed by James Gunn,
Mm-hmm.
like with Peacemaker and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's taking these franchises, this IP seriously and willing to take risks, but also thinking about the audience and what the audience might want from it. Like that's how you win.
Mm-hmm.
I hope Naked Gun and I hope Masters of the Universe do that for us.
Yeah.
The one thing Masters has going for it, Travis Knight did the Bumblebee movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that to me was the most impactful Transformers movie out of the live action ones for my money. I mean, you got to spend 10 to 15 minutes on Cybertron at the beginning of that movie, which was what everybody wanted to see out of all of those movies up to that point. And he did it really well. So I'm really hoping, with that being said, that he can pull this off. And whoever it is who's getting like, oh God, it's on Earth again from the little bit of photos we saw so far. It's like, how do you know that's not about 10 minutes of the movie? And there's still an hour and a half left of Eternia and everything. You never know. I mean, just, go into it with an open mind if you're remotely interested in seeing it. So,
and when they do make another Sesame Street movie, I hope they do the same thing, because I just rewatched Follow That Bird, which I haven't seen since it first came out in the theaters. Have you guys seen the Big Bird movie that was made?
I think I did when I was younger. Yeah, I can't remember.
I think I did once, but I don't remember 100% right now.
It's not spectacular, but it's good.
That's probably why we don't remember.
It's good. It's actually good. It was touching. There's a scene where he's like connecting with Snuffleupagus in a very deep way. I mean, it's like, it's pretty good, and it's kind of follows the same like Muppet movie track, which is like going on a journey, right? But it's still good. There's some things I would have changed, but it's good, and it reminded me of the Count's vehicle. So NECA, you got to make the Count's car. That thing is spectacular. Look it up, folks.
Yeah,
I should have put an image on here. I didn't know I'd be talking about Follow That Bird, actually. But you get a lot of good shots of the Count in his amazing. It's kind of a little bit of a dragster with bat wings, and it's fantastic.
Oh, geez. The Countmobile.
The Countmobile. Yeah. Oh, let me embiggen you.
Oh, come on.
Okay, yeah. That's the Countmobile. That's on Sesame Street. There's an even more deluxe version that shows up in the movie.
Let's see. Here. Oh, come on. There it is.
Yeah, there. Look at that, baby. Oh, my gosh.
That looks like something from the Munsters.
Yeah, I was going to say like the Dragula.
Yeah, the Dragula. Yeah.
It's definitely inspired by the Dragula. And it's great. And NECA could do a great job with that vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It'll be expensive.
Yeah.
But
the figure's $39. Can you imagine?
I'm gonna get Nosferatu to drive it around. Actually, he's gonna DoorDash.
Well, how long do you think it's going to be before we get a NECA Nosferatu from the most recent movie with removable clothing?
Hopefully not clothing, but I didn't go into that movie expecting I was going to get to see a full Monty of Nosferatu.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, sorry, Bobby.
I'm sorry.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
Actually, it's very good. So
is it?
Yeah, it's very good. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene it's not like intended
to
be. It's actually done quite tastefully.
Yeah. No, I could see that.
Yeah. I don't know if tastefully is the right word. It's done well. It's done well.
No, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
done in a way that makes sense according to the character, but you just weren't expecting it to happen. Is all I think
that's correct.
So you did a George Kennedy look, huh?
The one thing I will say, if you are going to watch it, is if you compare it constantly to the silent movie, you will probably be frustrated. So you got to think of it being like this is trying to take the silent movie in a serious direction that
No,
the
I
filmmaker
understand
believes,
that,
because he was trying to draw from like Slavic influences of how the Count might have looked versus him looking like this and stuff like that. So
I get that.
seeing the movie, it was a little startling, and then when I got into it, I'm like, this works on its own level, but I'm glad the original's still there,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Did you see that remake with who's that guy that's
Klaus Kinski?
No, not that one. There's another one that came out. I think it just came out at the same time as this one did, but it was made like years before, and it was like done like a shot for shot.
Doug, what's his name? Damn it. Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. Yeah, he played Abe Sapien and all that. Yeah, that wasn't too. It wasn't too bad.
I didn't.
There was a shot for
what it was. Yeah, it's on Tubi if you want to check it out.
Okay. I mean, Doug Jones
like the backgrounds are kind of like AI generated, or it's not. They didn't film anything on location. It's like a lot of green screen.
It's all green screen, right? But they used the actual backgrounds from the original film or something like that.
Yeah, and they were trying to do like their own shot for shot remake of it, but having like a modern look to it too, where it's not like clippy and jumpy the way that silent movies can be sometimes.
Yeah, and Doug Jones looked really good as Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the same thing with Caligari as well. It's the same director.
Oh, gee, I didn't know they did that one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they weren't too bad. They are what they are. Don't go in there thinking it's anything spectacular. Right. But if you're a fan of it, you might like it.
I'm interested in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie that's coming. Very anxious to see some clips or some trailer or something soon.
Right.
I'm really excited about it.
Well, we saw one photo, right?
One photo, and that was not enough. Yeah, but I'm glad he's I have faith in that guy.
Yeah, so do I.
I have faith in that director. So
he should just do the whole Dark Universe by himself. If they really wanted to make it feel good and make it feel legit, they should just go, hey, Guillermo, you want to come over here and just do all of the old Universal movies, but just make them your own? I'd watch those. No problem.
I'd watch Doug Jones as the creature and a Guillermo del Toro creature from the Black Lagoon. He was already Abe Sapien. He was already the Gill Man in, what was that?
The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
So good. Like, that guy's such a great physical actor, Doug Jones. And he's pretty funny in What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. I didn't know he could be that funny. I was like really, surprised in a great way.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of What We Do in the Shadows, they're coming out with Toonie TV NECA figures of all of the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
If they made the cast and they were in the 6-inch scale and all that, I'd be tempted because I love that show. But the other one that I wish they would have done, because they did the movie that Netflix did, is I would love for them to do the old school Munsters. I want Red Gwyn,
why can't we get those?
Herman Munster and Al Lewis Grandpa. I want those on my shelves, and I don't know why they went just with the Rob Zombie one. So I'm sure it's a licensing thing, but I just wish they would do those.
Very disappointing. I thought for sure because of the Rob Zombie movie and because they were doing those figures, they were going to do the original show characters. But I
did have a Munster set once. They look pretty good. They're not exact as the show, but they looked pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot who made them, but it was probably 20 years. No, about 15 years ago, maybe. I don't remember. But yeah,
I would. Now that you mentioned NECA Ultimates, Sean, I'm picturing a NECA Ultimates Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows. And I would absolutely love that.
They have to have him looking bored, but then they also have to have the face after he's drained the energy.
Yeah.
He's like, that's one of my.
He's my spirit vampire.
I never until Jesse showed me a couple episodes at his place one time when I came over, and I was like, oh my god, this show is genius. And I would have figured my favorite character would have been the Matt Berry
Matt Berry's
vampire
too, yeah.
And it ended up being Colin Robinson, because I'm like, oh my god, there's so much subtext to what this means to me. And the whole somebody in your office just taking hours of your life talking about nothing. I love it. It just that whole when he gets the power.
It's so good. It's just what a brilliant idea, the energy vampire.
Yeah.
And we all know them. I'm definitely him sometimes. I'm definitely him sometimes.
I'm him to
I
my
know,
wife.
I could feel it right now. Yeah, that show, I watched it from day one, and I gave it 3 episodes to get into it at first. And I remember watching it, like, that was okay. I see. And then the second one, it's like, all right. And then the third one's like, I get the show now. And then I haven't missed an episode, but yeah, it was.
Have you guys seen the first film?
No, I'd never seen the film.
I did, yeah.
Very good. It's very good. Hands down, one of the best contemporary comedies. It's just, it's just great.
This past season, one of the episodes, they had all the vampires together, and they killed that one guy, and they're all gonna sacrifice whatever it was or something. And then at the end, they showed that one vampire. They didn't name him, but it was Eric from True Blood.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh my god, it's Eric, and he's like scared, but he wasn't Eric because they couldn't use the image, but it was the same actor. And I'm like, oh my god, that's hilarious. He's that frightened, but he was like more of the in your face vampire in True Blood. And I was like, that was spectacular. I was glad they brought him in there. That was awesome.
There was a scene where they showed all the vampires, right? So you had a lot of vampires that wasn't Paul Rubens from Buffy the Vampire Slayer in there too? Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman. There were a lot of vampires that were just
there was a scene in there. Yeah, they had Blade and all that.
Yeah,
in there.
Blade.
Yeah, that was good. That's why when they brought Eric in for that episode, I was like, cool. They paid homage to True Blood. I was like, that's awesome.
That's great, right?
And he was scared, which was great, because that's not him. Yeah. He's never scared. And that was he's just sitting there like, huh? Not me. Don't pick on me. Oh, man.
Well, in the tradition of the Frenzy, we got to talk about a lot more than just Sesame Street and Masters of the Universe tonight, which is awesome.
On vampires at the end of
because the count. It was all about the count.
The count, baby.
Right.
So the one true vampire.
We talked about a bunch of vampires.
So what do you guys got coming up? Anything exciting?
You guys go ahead.
I'm letting Adam. He's usually got stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always working on something. Just like an article about the Battle for Eternia board game.
Cool.
And then one about the Green Goddess. Right now.
Oh, good. You know what? I saw the Revelation Green Goddess Masterverse figure in a Target, and I was like, oh, I'll think about it, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I regretted not getting it because it's a really great rendition of that character. If you can't afford the Mondo Green Goddess, this version of Tila as the Green Goddess is pretty spectacular. A pretty spectacular action figure seeing it in person.
Yeah, she's slightly expensive now. Trying to get her in the secondary market. Should have got her.
Should have got her.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, she is randomly showing up in Targets, folks. So keep an eye out. Well, that's exciting, Adam. Good. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
How about you, Shawnee?
Nothing. I float around here and there from show to show, but this was the only thing that I had planned as a podcast or show or whatever that I was going to be on. So I kind of like keeping it simple right now. So whenever I get asked, I'll be there if I can contribute. So
yeah, you're becoming the cameo guy.
I guess I'm not trying to be that, but for me, like the stuff that I was involved with, it's grown too much for me, and that's kind of that was something where I'm like I'm shying away from it more because I'm just like having us be 4 to 5 guys on a screen right now. That works for me. That's you can have a conversation. When you get into suddenly there's little tiny squares all through the screen and you're like, I don't even know some of these people. It's like,
it's a
I'm
lot.
good.
It can be a lot.
I'll squeeze out now.
And I know the feeling because as when you're involved in podcasts, or if you have a YouTube channel, or even if you're just on Instagram and you love a thing, it's sometimes you feel like you need to keep up with the Joneses, kind of. You got to be like on top of everything.
Yep.
And that can really create a lot of stress. And if everyone else is doing a thing, you might want to feel like you're part of it. And it's hard to it's hard to let go and just say no to some things. So I admire anyone that can figure out the pace that works for them,
right,
and then stick to it. There's no need to do everything, and I'm glad that Bobby came to that conclusion for himself, and I'm glad that you figured that out for yourself too. You got to find the pace that's for you, so that you can keep whatever enjoyment you have in that activity fresh.
Absolutely.
Keeping the joy in it. What about you, Stink Fartendale?
Decker's case 5 started yesterday.
All right.
It's going to be 8 parts, so it'll be weekly up through the end of that one. And I hope everybody enjoys that. I enjoyed writing it. I already have the next case thought about, and I thought about these 3 cases together more than I did the first ones, because I'm trying to make it more like a seasonal thing now, to where they kind of like have different like connections to it, each other. I created another character last night or the night before. It's going to be a universe story character, and it's going to be Duchess's character. She's going to narrate that one, kind of like you did with the Stranger. Yeah, you own the Stranger now, basically.
Stranger's my guy.
She's going to have one of hers, and I think you'll find it kind of intriguing there, Skelly.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I've mentioned before, I'm excited too, Duchess. And it's good to remind folks that if you're watching this and you haven't tuned into Bobby Dangerously yet, it's available. You can listen to the Decker Northcutt case files on podcasts.
Yes.
On the wherever you find your podcasts, or you can listen through YouTube. And so find what works for you. Like for me, it's like in the morning, get up, if there's a new Decker Northcutt case file to listen to, I'm getting the stuff ready for my day. I'm listening to it. It's like the perfect time.
Thank you.
I feel like it really works quite well like that. And I just love the old timey radio feel of it. And yeah, I'm glad it's back, Bobby.
Thank you. Yeah, I got a lot more coming. And I already got season 3 already figured out a little bit. That makes no sense, but you know what I mean? I got I got the characters together.
Yeah. That's great. I'm excited. And folks, you got to go over to Battle Ramp blog too.
Yeah.
Adam, are you still doing the videos, the short videos?
It's been a while. I haven't done one for a while. I do. There's at least a few more I want to do on those. I just have gotten out of the habit.
Yeah. It's great. It's like frosting on the cake, those little videos.
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah. For me, I'm going to be doing a video this weekend of Roosevelt Franklin. I'm going to take him out of the package and talk about him a little bit. It's actually, this month, we're at the end of the month pretty much, but this is the 5-year anniversary of the Skelevator YouTube channel.
Wow.
Nice.
Which is crazy. I'm a little bit behind in all the stuff because you know how life is.
Right.
But I was just thinking about that today. I was like, I got to do something about that. So I don't know. I might do just something to celebrate the 5 years. I might return to Grayskull to celebrate the 5 years.
Oh wow.
And other than that, I don't know. I've been deep in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, reading the biography on audiobook, thinking about the kind of message that I want my channel to convey. I've been thinking a lot about that, and by spending time with Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and actually spending time with the Filmation Masters of the Universe cartoon in a different way, a way of thinking about what am I left with after watching each episode. It's not just the toys. It's like there's something more there. Like I was just thinking about